Let's talk about No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, if you don't know, is a procedurally generated universe. There are more stars to explore, more planets to explore than there are atoms in the known universe. So it's basically like there's an infinite amount of planets and stars that you can visit. You can land on any planet that circles a star. The basic concept of the game is you're dropped into this infinite universe on a random planet. Your starship is broken and you got to find resources to fix it so that you can leave and start exploring the universe. What makes No Man's Sky so unique from any other space game is that you can literally be on a planet, get into your spaceship, look up, see another planet, and go directly to it. Not only that, but you can then go into the galactic map and go to any star system. There's 4 types of stars in No Man's Sky. There's yellow, red, green, and blue. And they all have different varieties of fauna and flora that you're going to find there. And you have to upgrade your ship to be able to go to these different star systems. Now, when No Man's Sky first came out, it was a disaster. If any of you guys remember, it was a horrid disaster. The game was not anything close to what they originally promised. Hello Games, the creators of No Man's Sky, got a lot of hate, but they did what any hero does, what any great developer would do. They kept working on it. This whole time since 2016 up to now, they've been adding updates. We've had countless updates every single year, all of it 100% free. If you bought the game, if you own the game, you can have all of these updates all for free. I've been playing No Man's Sky since it came out. I bought it the day it came out, and I even followed the game before it came out. I was so hyped, especially one of those first trailers. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it literally was like, this is the next generation of gaming because this is nuts. Without any loading screens, by the way. They hide their loading screens so well. That's one of the things that's really great about No Man's Sky is that there are no loading screens. All the loading screens are kind of obscured by a animation. You start off with a ship and simple upgrades. And the whole point of in the beginning of the game is just kind of getting your character set up. You know, you're trying to get upgrades for your ship. I mean, you first have to repair your ship so you can actually leave the planet, but you can upgrade your ship, upgrades for your suit so that you can survive some of the harsher environments on these planets that you'll find. Not that long ago in No Man's Sky, you just had to find a ship. And once you found a ship, that's the ship. But now you can literally scrap ships for parts and then build your own ship. There's also base building in No Man's Sky. You can build bases on any planet, anywhere you want. If you land on a planet and you find a nice scenic view, you can build a base. Basically, you can put teleporters in your base to then teleport to different bases. You can also explore bases that people have uploaded. You can also teleport to your freighter. You can build almost anything you can think of. There are so many sub-games within No Man's Sky, so many different aspects that have so much depth to them. Base building, one of those things. Now, I actually did a whole guide on not only base building, but specifically the electricity of the base building because it can be a little confusing. There's 3 different types of electricity or 3 different ways to get electricity. I did a whole video on how to understand that if you want to check that out. But basically, you can build a base anywhere on any planet. It's wild. There are also portals in No Man's Sky, which allow you to visit any planet anywhere in the entire universe. You have a multi-tool, and that multi-tool helps you whether you're fighting other creatures, fighting other NPCs, mining resources. It's one of the most important pieces of the game. Your ship and your multi-tool are like the main things in this game that you'll need. You know, in each star system, there's a whole economy. You can buy different items. You can sell items. You can mine resources and sell those resources for units. It's called units. It's money, but they call it units in No Man's Sky. Now, the different upgrades you can get can help with your suit, with your ship, with your multi-tool. You can get a better jetpack upgrade. You can get better upgrades for your ship so it will go faster in between planets. The game does a good job making you feel like this is a real universe that's lived in by other creatures. Endless exploration is really the bulk of the game. There's a main storyline that you can follow with the Atlas, or if you want to do your own exploration, you can do that. This game is really like a sandbox. I mean, you can it really is up to you what you want to do. Like I said, you can follow the main story crest if you want to. And that will also help get you more special items as you progress. But you can also just go off on your own and explore. Now, you will get the opportunity to have different types of vehicles on the planets. There's a rover, there's a motorcycle, there's all different types of vehicles that do different things, and you can also have upgrades for those vehicles, along with a multi-tool, a ship, and vehicles. You also get a chance to get a freighter. And your freighter is kind of like a home away from home. It's a place where you can store all of the ships that you own. Like, one of the things I really like to do in the game is I'll go into my freighter, I'll warp to a star system, explore that star system, check out the planets, and then get in my freighter and go to another star system. If you have a freighter, which I highly recommend getting one, there is a piece of technology you can install where once you get to a solar system, it will scan all of the planets for you and tell you what every planet has to offer. There's different factions in the game. You have Gex, you have Korvax, you have Viking, you have all of these different types of species. Whenever you stumble upon a creature, you can adopt that creature as a companion to follow you on your journeys. So when you land on a planet, you can go up to these creatures that live on the planet and you can feed them creature pellets. You can ride them, literally ride them like a horse. You can extract eggs from them, different types of, whether it's berries or other things that they offer. One thing that's really cool about the companions is they will actually protect you from hostile creatures. When you feed a creature, other creatures around will be interested and start to come over to you, and it's kind of cool because you can get them to follow you. You can name planets, you can name the plants, the creatures, any of the solar systems. All of it is nameable. They've added so much to this game that I'm very surprised they haven't charged more money for the game or for the updates, because they absolutely could. But I think that they don't, because number one, they have integrity, but two, they feel like they owe this to the fans, because in the beginning they promised so much, that promise fell short. And so over the years, they've been redeeming themselves to be one of the best redemption stories in gaming history. Now, since No Man's Sky is multiplayer, there is a hub called the Space Anomaly. Now, I won't get into too much detail about it because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but just know it's a place where you can meet other players, real-life players who are also playing the game. There's character customization. You can customize your character. You can customize not only the type of character, like the type of species, whether you want to just be a regular human anomaly, or you can be the different factions. You could be a Gek, you can be a Korvax. There's all different types of armor, all different colors. You can have a cape, and a lot of this stuff you obviously have to get unlocked, so there is a little bit of grinding that you have to do in No Man's Sky. Now, there are tons of different types of planets. I don't even think I could go through all of the different types of planets that there are, but there's everything from radioactive planets to beautiful, grassy planets, to frozen planets, death planets with nothing on them. There are moons. Some of the moons do have atmospheres, which is a little weird, but that's just how it is in No Man's Sky. And these planets can have severe storms, can have some really serious, deathly things happening on them. And so you really want to make sure before you go to any sort of toxic planet or crazy storm-filled planet, you want to make sure you have enough armor to protect yourself. You have an inventory. In this inventory, you can collect all different sorts of elements, different types of objects, and if you die, all of that goes away. So I want to just get into some gripes I have with No Man's Sky, some of the downsides to the game that I've experienced. Although there is a huge planet and creature diversity, just because of how big No Man's Sky is. I mean, we're talking about basically an infinite game. Because the game is so big, you tend to run into the same types of creatures that you saw on other planets. Now, they always will be diverse. They're always going to be different. I say this, though, knowing that there are going to be planets you go to where there's going to be creatures you've never seen before. There's enough diversity and enough surprises in the game to overlook that aspect. Another downside to this game that I have is the oceans, because they are not oceans. They are giant ponds. I don't care what anybody says. They're not oceans. What I mean is, although, yeah, it looks like an ocean, when you go into the ocean, when you actually go into the water, it's not very deep. And I understand that this is kind of like a personal gripe that I have, because I really want giant deep oceans, or more like a real ocean. I really thought that this new update they would have added, since this is the world's update, I thought that they would have added that. Still cool, still fun to explore. You're still going to find a lot of unique, cool things, but I just wish they were just a little bit deeper. Yes, there's going to be pop-in. Yes, your game might freeze or crash. So now we're going to get into some details, some of the things that I've found throughout playing the game, some of the new features in the update. And I'm going to kind of make this a spoiler section. It's still good maybe to get an idea of the game, and that's kind of what the first part of this video was for, just to kind of understand what is No Man's Sky and is it for me. It's not really a spoiler section, but if you want to go into this game completely blind without knowing any specific things, avoid this part of the video. I'll put a time code to where you could go to where I'm done talking about this, but this will just be an area where I'm going to talk about some specific things that I've found, not only within this new update, but just in general in No Man's Sky. My God, did they add some... There are some diverse creatures in this game. I have found some of the most unique looking creatures I've ever experienced in No Man's Sky. And I don't know if it's necessarily just this update, because I have found unique creatures before this update, but they did something, man, because some of these creatures I've never seen before. I mean, these creatures could not be different from each other. You know, they've also done some optimization with the game so that it runs better, and one of the things that I've noticed is the shadows look so good. I want to talk about the storms too, because those are nuts, man. You know, No Man's Sky has always had really cool storm effects, you know, like lightning they added a few years ago, but I mean, it is just insane what can happen to you on these planets. I landed on one planet, it said incoming wall of fire. I'm like, what? All of a sudden, everything starts lighting on fire. There was even one storm that was so strong it picked me up and I was flying around. And there are some sea monsters, some, you know, not very scary, crazy sea monsters, but I have found a couple of them. I've found like these eel-looking things. Also, of course, the giant worm that everybody's aware of, although you can't interact with that worm, unfortunately. But I love that they added that worm. If you guys remember, it was in one of the original trailers for the game back in like 2013 or 14. They showed off this, and forever people were asking, when are they going to add these giant worms? And when they added them, it was like, thank you, Sean. Obviously, they overhauled the water. The water looks amazing, but during the storms and throughout the day, the water reacts differently. When it's nice and calm, the water is nice and flat and calm. When there are storms, the water gets really wavy and crazy, and it just... little things like that make the game so much more immersive and so much more exciting when you're playing it. I was on one of these planets and I found those walking buildings and mechanical creatures, and one of the cool things is if you feed one of the creatures, the other creatures will be interested in you and they'll kind of come over to you. And I actually had it where I had like 5 or 6 of these mechanical creatures following me around, wanting more food. There's just so much more of a denser population of creatures. I see way more creatures than I've ever seen in No Man's Sky in one place. There's also weird space anomalies you'll come across when you're flying through space. Random things will happen. You can even warp to another solar system and be right in the middle of a battle between 2 factions, and you can help the faction destroy the other freighter to get that freighter, or you can help the other side. I mean, there's just so many options. That's pretty much all of the spoiler stuff, I guess. So in conclusion, this game is really for anybody who loves exploration, open world, sandbox games. You know, I saw a lot of people were comparing Starfield to No Man's Sky, and it's kind of not fair to do that, because if you look at Starfield, it's just a totally different game, not just in the gameplay, but just in the way the game was built. Because as we know, Starfield is built on the same engine that all the Fallout games have been built on. With No Man's Sky, from the ground up, it was built as a full-on exploration game where there are just millions and millions and millions and trillions of stars and planets to explore, and you're given the keys to a spaceship, and you can just go. No Man's Sky is the quintessential exploration game. If you want to go, especially if you're just kind of relaxing and you want to just get in your ship and see what's out there, this is the perfect game to do that. It's really cool how if you land on a planet and you really like that planet, you can just pop a base down and build a base, and now you have a home on this planet that you can always visit and have your companion with you, and you can milk them. Milking creatures, what's better than that, right? So thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. Check out No Man's Sky. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what your favorite aspect is of No Man's Sky. If you're first time playing No Man's Sky, what you think about it. If you're a veteran player like me, what do you think about the new update? They've done a really good job with this game, I gotta say. It's been amazing to watch them add all of these updates, all for free, which is crazy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. That's it.